Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I am glad to have Miriam Schulman in the house. Miriam is an artist and the founder of the Inspiration Place. Through her business coaching plan program, the Artist Incubator, and popular podcasts, she's helped thousands of artists around the world create more time and freedom to do what they love by teaching them how to go from so-so sales to sold-out collections. She initially pursued finance working at a lucrative hedge fund. After witnessing 9/11, she decided to become a full-time working artist. Since then, Miriam and her art have been featured in major publications, including Forbes, Entrepreneur, The New York Times, Art of Man, Professional Artist Magazine, and Art Journaling Magazine. Her artwork has also been featured on NBC's Parenthood and the Amazon series Hunters with Al Pacino. You've probably heard me raving about her new book all week long. It's called Artpreneur. It was published by HarperCollins. It is a must read. It is a must read if you are a creative person in business, and it's a must read if you are just a person in business, because it is just so good. I've also referenced her numerous times this week. When you heard me say procrastinating, it came from this person right here. So Miriam, so glad to have you here. You hired a virtual assistant through the Front Row CEO program. And we'd love to hear about this because, as you know, we're talking to people who are in different industries. And so as an artist, you know, you have a different, obviously you have two different kinds of audiences. You have artists, and then you have artists who are growing online business, and you're doing your whole online business thing. But I think you see things through a lens that the rest of us might not see. So as it pertains to artists specifically, what are some of the things that an artist could hand over to a virtual assistant?
Okay. So first of all, let me say that I went through Jen's program at the perfect time, because I always had somebody coming to me and I thought that was the only way things work. I'm an artist. She comes to my studio. She helps me. And I went through the program in March 2020. Was that?
Sounds about right. It was COVID
right.
time. Yeah.
Anyway, it was February, March, something like that. And what happened was not just because of COVID, but right when COVID was about to happen, was happening, we just didn't know it. When it was happening, my assistant said to me, "I want to move to Vermont." And so what I want you to know is what Jen's program helped me do was also transition her into being a remote employee. So like I put her through all the onboarding that I was going to do with my my VA. And we learned so many systems that helped us function better as a team remotely. And as an artist, it was such a gift to be able to have my secret life in my studio back. Like, you know, to really have that introvert time where I'm alone working in my studio, because I was always having her come to me. And so it was a little bit, I didn't realize how much that was disrupting me. So like getting over the idea that people had to work in my physical space was my first hurdle.
But your first person was a physical in real life person.
That's right.
Yeah.
And then what I want to say is, what you asked me is, first of all, there's what do you give an assistant, whether they're virtual or not? And at that time, when I hired Anna, I was primarily a visual artist without all this other stuff. I think I had just added online classes just before she joined me. So a lot of her initial, and I thought I had the mindset that she couldn't do any of that. Of course, now she does all of that. But a lot of the things that I gave her, even in the beginning, were like researching keywords for Etsy, making the SEO more friendly on my website, answering customer emails. So there's just like a mountain of things. And I would rather chop off an arm now than to give up the help that I have from her and the rest of my team.
Yeah, right. I mean, even like a lot of people, their first question is like, what's the ROI? What's the ROI? Well, like if the only return on your investment is the fact that you never have to do a task that you can't stand, you know, you get to let go of that one task you just loathe, that you just never want to do again. I mean, that's for me, like, okay, I've gotten, great. Like that's worth it by itself. But obviously, now that, if Anna is doing all this other stuff for you, and let's say you didn't have this other component to your business, you were still, you were mainly just selling your art. That would give you more time to do what?
Yeah. I mean, create art. I mean, here's the thing. Like you said with your last guest that we only have a certain number of hours of the day. And we always tell ourselves the lie. If we had more hours in the day, we would get more things done. It's a total lie because we don't have more energy. If I were to wave a magic wand and say, you have 3 more hours and you have 3 more hours and you have 3 more hours, we would just use them to watch Netflix. I mean, we just do not have energy at the end of the day to work any harder than we are right now.
So true.
So I want to answer some things that are happening in the chat because there's this belief that someone has to come to you. And so now I have not only Anna, but I've hired multiple VAs through Jen's process. And something that happens to me as a physical business owner is I'll send out invitations and they'll come back to me, return of address is wrong, like this person's. And so what I would do is I would take a picture of my phone and I would send it, upload that picture to my VA and say, please mark them in our database that this is the wrong address so that we don't continue to send them postcards. And so there's things like that all the time. There's definitely ways, like somebody says, well, what about my notes? It would be so much faster for you to take pictures of all your handwritten notes and upload that to an assistant to digitize it for you.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And
Ellie. I think somebody else already gave her the same exact thing, but this totally works. There's almost nothing that can't be done by your assistant. Like they can't put the paint on the canvas for me. They can't record the podcast for me, but everything else they can do.
Right. But those are the 2 things you love to do. And
that's right.
I'm so glad you said that because I use you should just be pressing record, whatever record means for you. Right. Is it your brush to the canvas? Is it literally, recording a video or an audio, or is it, whatever it is, like that thing you went into business, you can do that when you have help. But, there's obstacles, Miriam. And so let's talk about that. Like, did you have any obstacles in the beginning, like in mindset stuff? Like, I mean, maybe you didn't, but did you?
Yeah. A lot of it is trusting that they're smart, like you think like, oh, that you're the only one who can set up a funnel. Like,
so true.
Okay. No, you can't tell somebody here, set up a funnel. You have to give them little pieces. And so that's the way it would be moved over to my assistants. It's like, maybe we would start off, okay, could you design this lead page? Here's how I want it to look. And this is, I would put like the words that I want on the page into a Google Doc and say, this is the first section. This is the second section. This is the pictures I want here. And P.S. doing that work makes whatever you're doing that much better, because when you sit down and say, well, I'm just going to figure it out all right now by myself, you waste so much time. So even the fact that I have to plan these things out for them, it makes everything so much better. So maybe that would be the first thing that I would give out. And I had a mindset thing like, oh, only I can send the email out for the talks about my podcast, because it has to be in my words. So now we changed it. No. One of my assistants will put that email together and send me the draft. And then I check it before it goes out and I can tweak it. And it's so much easier and faster to edit somebody else than to start from scratch, because otherwise I'm looking for the link and I'm looking for the picture and I'm checking that the links aren't broken. So she does all that for me. Now all I have to do is like zhuzh it up and make it sound like funny and like me.
And like, not to mention the whole Chat GPT thing that is like, helping us that much more. For those of you who don't know what we're talking about, just it's the new open AI that allows you to ask questions and get these amazing written results. What we've been doing is same, like my team will write an email and then I review it before it goes out. But now there's another step before they give it to me. And I know you're doing this a lot too, Miriam, is that we ask them to stick it into ChatGPT, and then it comes to me. So it's even less that I have to critique. So we got some good questions. Sheila says, what do you think is the most challenging part of the program, Miriam?
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I was just in there the other day. So right now we're hiring a video editor, and it's just like, okay, what's the email that I need to send to do whatever it is, decline an applicant? Where's this? So I don't know. I think maybe the hardest part for me is when you get a lot of good applicants, like sorting them through, like, how do I say no to people? Like, how do I, what things do I really need? But what happens is, as you do something, you will get better at it. It's kind of like Jen Lehner's giving you a kit. Everybody has their own kit in life. Like, I have my body, my brain, my skill set, right? And, I look over you. Okay, what kit do you have? What instructions work with your kit? But my kit is different than your kit. So you have to like kind of personalize your own kit. If that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. And actually,
analogies.
I went through my own system recently. Our whole team did, because we were looking for a new full-time VA for my business. So even though I teach this stuff day in and day out, and we do hire, part-time people. I've recently hired, a video editor and so forth, or I'll help other CEOs find a VA through my system. To find a full-time VA for our business, I haven't done that in a long, long time. And I didn't do it this time because my team can do it for me because they know the system, which will be the same for you too, which is what Miriam does too.
That's right. That's right. So like with the video editor, I have my other VA go through and say, okay, these are the things that automatically disqualifies them. So if they're giving answers and it's filling out a spreadsheet, and I'll say, just cross them off if they didn't do the things that Jen tells us we have to make them do to be very detail oriented. But then I've added it to fit my own needs. So for example, it's important for me that we meet together as a team. And one of the video editors I recently tried out, she did not want to come to those meetings. Like she, every time was an excuse. So I finally, said, okay, no, thank you. And you're not a good fit. And which is the letter I pulled out of Jen's program. And then, so for my next application, I now say, are you able and willing to come to a Zoom team meeting at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time? So that's part of the application. So that there is that understanding and that awareness up front. So that's why I said that's the whole point of like personalizing it.
Yeah, I love that example.
And then somebody says, how about organizing? I think that is a big part of Jen's program that really isn't, there's so much more value in this program than just hiring somebody, because it's really teaching you how to organize a system for a team to work together. So about organizing a Dropbox and doing all these things that make a virtual team run efficiently. So I use Asana. She teaches Trello.
We teach Asana now too.
Okay. But the point is, it's like, that's what I use. So, Slack, all these things that she does to make things work efficiently. And that's why I brought up at the very beginning, I had this in-person employee and she wanted to be remote, and Jen's program allowed me to do that. So it's much more than just hiring people. It's really about how to manage a remote team. So it's how to get really good help.
Yeah. And Allie Cat Adventures says, how do you judge how long tasks will take? How do you know they are being efficient with their time? I'm asking because I've struggled with these areas with VAs in the past, even when they've turned in Clockify reports on their use of time. What is your main mode for communicating tasks and following up? Email, something like Slack. Let me jump in this real quick, and then I'd love to hear what you have to say, Miriam. But I want to say, first of all, when you hire your perfect match VA, having to wonder whether or not they're padding their hours is never going to be a problem. Okay. Because we have screened so well that you're not going to get caught up in that minutia. Okay. You're going to have a VA that, if anything, shortchanges herself. And I know this because, like I said, I just ran eight people through a trial week. And we had one person who messaged us and said, I'm going to pause the timer now because I'm going to watch some YouTube videos to help me get more up to speed on this. Like, no. You can charge for your time watching YouTube. Go ahead. That's part of the process. Like, keep your timer going. So there's so many other things to consider in that, on that, there's so many things to screen for before you ever hire that by the time you get the person who is your perfect match VA, that's not an issue. Number one. Number two, I talk in the program about reaching a stage with your VA down the road where you pretty much commit to a minimum number of hours, sort of like a salary model. And that way, neither one of you really care about watching half hour or an hour. It's like the time takes what it takes to get the job done. And mentally, you're going to pay up to 20 or you're going to pay up to 40, because at these rates, you can afford to do that. And that is one of the luxuries of doing it this way. It takes away that nagging feeling like you have to oversee if they really clocked out, if they were really doing the work. If the work is done, the work is done. If the work is done by the time you need it done, it's also done in a timely fashion. What do you care if it took 15 versus 20? Do you know what I mean? Yeah. They say it was 20, but you think maybe they only did 15. That's my outlook. Go ahead. What do you think, Miriam?
Yeah, we use Hubstaff, and when we have candidates, it becomes very clear during that trial week if somebody is a time puncher but what I mean by that is like, okay, it's 8:00. I'm turning on the timer now. And they sit there and they wait for you to tell them what to do. You don't really want people like that, because you want people who really want to make a difference and care about your company. And they're not just time clock punchers. So those types of things, those personality things really become apparent during the trial week.
That's a better answer.
No, I think your answer was great. And I do trust my employees. We do have them on Hubstaff. It does track where they are, what they're doing, but I only check it if work isn't getting done. So I did have one instance with a part-time VA who wanted to go full-time, but wasn't getting her work done during the part-time hours. And I was like, wait a minute. I thought that she just didn't have enough hours. And then I was checked into it. So I had to talk with her. And since then it's been fine, but that was immaturity on her part. So, these are human beings. They're not machines. They're not robots, and humans are humans. And if you are a good boss and incentivize them and treat them beautifully, they will respond in kind.
That last thing you said is going to get chopped up we're going to pull that out as a soundbite, because that's exactly right. That's exactly right. I want to just follow up on what Miriam said about Hubstaff and many software, a lot of tools like Hubstaff, like Clockify, and there's a few others, will allow you to not just keep track of time, but it will actually take a screenshot of what they're working on. So in those first few weeks, when you are feeling a little nervous about things and you just aren't sure, it's a great tool for people to just sort of feel more confident. And it came in handy for me one time with a VA who I had given a YouTube project to, and I just happened to check his screenshots and realized, like, 3 days into the assignment, he was in the wrong YouTube channel. He was in my personal YouTube, not my professional YouTube. So thank goodness, I was able to be like, wait, and salvage the rest of the week. Yeah. And
I can also say, you don't have to pay them by the hour. I just don't have a good sense of how long it takes to edit a video. I would love to be able to pay them the same way I do my podcaster, where I say it's a half-hour video and this is what you get paid to edit it. The only problem is doing something like that, and we know this as business owners, that like sometimes a video only needs a little bit, and sometimes you want a ton of bells and whistles. So then you can't really do it like the length of the video or whatever. So I just think it's also more fair for them to have those boundaries. I find that especially with Anna, the thing about keeping track of her hours, it keeps her from overworking. Because she would work more than 35 hours a week if I let her. And I just give her raises every year and give her bonuses and paid time off.
Yes. Treating her beautifully, as you said.
Like family.
Yep. And that's the thing. So many of us have, that's the unexpected bonus for all of this. Yes, you get someone who is going to help you be more efficient and productive in your business. And they're going to, bring you sanity that you've been lacking for a while. But many people come back and say, I wasn't expecting this whole beautiful relationship to blossom. It doesn't happen overnight, but over time it's like, wow, you really, and you're changing lives too. They're changing your life. You're changing their life. It's a pretty awesome thing. Okay. So what tips, Miriam, would you give to people who are like kind of nervous about whether or not they're ready for this?
Oh, you cannot
hire. That is.
Okay. Jen, you've heard me say this before, but if you don't need help, your dream is too small.
Ooh.
You can't, and if your dream is too small, you can't grow bigger than your dream.
Period.
Mic drop. I'm going to go have lunch now.
You're right. Yeah, go enjoy lunch. Okay, you guys, we have the one and only Miriam Schulman here. And so before she leaves us to have lunch, do you have any questions for her? She'll shoot you straight, about the program. And like she said, she's been through it more than once. So she'll tell you.
Every time. And then somebody in the chat was asking me about asking you about the email. So Jen gives us everything in the program as Google Docs. So I make a copy of everything. I personalize it and I have it organized in my Google Drive as human resources. And then I have all the subfolders. So I have those templates personalized and ready. Sometimes I will go back to the program because she does update it. Like she's updated some things from before. So I really like that we have lifetime access, right?
Yeah. And you always get the newest version of the program and all the replays from all the live calls.
Because she's updated what happens when you part ways with the VA for whatever reason. Like there's a checklist of how to make sure that there's a clean parting of ways. And that's very helpful too.
Yep. When giving assignments through, do you just, we didn't answer that part of the question. Like, how do we communicate?
I use Slack. So what I do is so Anna, I call her now my engineer. These are all the things I used to think I would do myself, and she's figured it out. So we have a channel called, one of my VAs is Addie. So I have a Slack channel called Addie Tasks. And if I send her a message on Addie Task, it automatically populates her Asana. So not only is she being messaged in Slack about what I want her to do, but it becomes a to-do item on her Asana. And I have that for every single team member. So we use Slack with Asana, and I think Sapier's. See, I don't know how it works. Somebody else set it up for me. It's such a beautiful thing.
Yeah. We use Trello and Voxer. Yeah, as Nika said, but it's like whatever works for you.
Yeah, I don't like that chirping Voxer. I won't even do it with my friends anymore. Jen will tell you. It's like, it gives me anxiety. I like quiet and,
You can mute your Voxer. You can mute it, but then you might miss the notifications, which then could lead to bad things. So, okay. Well, Miriam, this has been fantastic. You guys, don't forget to pick up your copy of Artpreneur. I'm not just saying this because Miriam is my friend. It really is one of the best books that I've read this year. And then also her podcast, The Inspiration Place, is fantastic. So make sure and go check out her podcast and leave a review for her.
Can I give one more commercial for the book?
Yeah.
So if you order before next Wednesday, we're having a special branding edition. And the guests for this branding edition are Jennifer Kem, who has been Oprah's branding expert. She's absolutely amazing. She actually is a Filipino woman who is a tremendous business owner. And India Jackson of Flaunt Your Fire, she's also coming as a branding expert. And I believe the third guest is Whitney McNeil, who is a psychic medium, but she talks about being spiritual and ambitious. So it's a special branding edition. So you get to either join us live or get that recording when you pre-order the book from artpreneurbook.com.
Okay, artpreneurbook.com.
Okay, that's my commercial.
Y'all. That was a really good commercial. That sounds like that's an amazing event. I'll be there.
Yeah, you should come. Okay.
Say it again,
artpreneurbook.com. I don't care where you order the book from. Just put in the order number on that page with your name and email, and we'll make sure you get invited.
Awesome. All right, Miriam, thank you so much. Feel free to stick around or not. We're going to be going, everyone. We're going to be going pretty much all day long here. So let me get back on Spotlight and reintroduce myself and what we're doing here today. Our next guest is going to be Shar Glatley. She's at 12:30. Between now and then, I want to tell you a little bit about the program. It's a good time to take a break. What is going on? I put my camera on like cameraman mode, just so you know, I don't have a cameraman. It's just this wonky software. I'll try to stand still and then I'll fix that on the break. Anyway, good time to take a break. Go to the loo, grab a cup of coffee, grab your lunch, whatever. And then we'll be here to answer questions. And I want to just do a preview or an update on what we're talking about here. So my name is Jen Lehner. I'm a digital marketing and systems strategist. And this week I have been talking all about how to hire and train and onboard and work with your perfect match virtual assistant. And the way that I do that is through a program called Front Row CEO. Enrollment opened yesterday, and that's frontrowceo.com. And basically it's a live program. So it lasts 4 weeks. You could find your VA much sooner than that. We've had someone go from starting to actually onboarding, looking for their VA to onboarding very recently. And she did that in 17 days. So it's really, it's really how fast you want to move through the program. The videos are super short. They're less than 5 minutes each. And I'm going to show you on my slide deck what we'll talk about the specifics. So I think I have to do the whole screen. Okay, slideshow. Okay, let me back up. Find a good place to start. All right. Okay. So you get the full training program, which is all the templates, all the videos, all the materials like that Miriam was talking about. And then we're throwing in some bonuses. Okay. So the first one is all the systems that we use in my own business: project plans, inbox management, time management, optimization, new client onboarding, swipe files, everything. Okay. The second bonus is the Front Row CEO content planning system. That is a planning system that I always sell separately, and your VA will be able to help you create 3 months worth of strategic content in just a few hours. And there's a separate piece of this that we're going to give as a bonus as well, which I'm going to get to in a second. Then you get course updates for life. As I was sharing with Miriam, you heard me talk about with Miriam, we update this course all the time because things change out there in the world, right? So there's new software, there's just new events that happen in the world, new circumstances. So we keep it updated, and every time we relaunch the program, you still get access to all the board meetings, the live calls. Okay. The mic drop bonus is we're going to train your VA for you. Okay. So that means we're going to give them their own program. It's called Front Row VA. And they're going to get office hours and live support with my team. Okay. So what I love about this is this was Nika's idea, actually, and it has been a huge success because the VAs that my CEOs hire have their own they have their own little, I don't want to say problems, but like they run into tech issues. They might run into issues with like the best way to communicate with you. They might have questions about like just maybe cultural issues, like, and not sure how to sort of address a problem. That is what my team is there for in these office hours for your VA. Okay. And then, so summary. 4 live 90-minute support calls. We call these board meetings. The step-by-step modules, again, they're super short because you're super busy. You just watch and do. You don't have to think, you just watch and do. Okay. I tell you exactly what to do, and I'm there to hold your hand. So you get all the templates, the checklists, the flow charts. You get the private support community. That is such a bonus because all of you are together in a private community. And what's wonderful is when you start to put these VAs in your, like you start doing your test tasking, which means nothing to you right now, but when you start doing your trial week, you might be in a situation like we were. We put 8 people through a trial week and they were all so good. We really had a hard time hiring one full-time VA. We ended up hiring 2, but the other 6 were still fantastic. What we can do is we could say, hey, let's start a pool of really great VAs that we actually didn't hire, but might be good in your business. So in that community, people are sharing information and resources like that. So you're going to get the bonus of all of our systems. You're going to get the content planning system. Okay. And then you're going to get, I'm trying to click and nothing's happened. Course updates for life, the mic drop bonus of us training your VA and having those office hours for your VA. And then we're going to offer that for $19.97. We have a payment plan for that. We also, I'm going to mute myself because I'm going to ask Nika something real quick. Hold on. Okay, I had to double check with Nika because this is kind of a big moment. I wasn't sure if I was going to offer this, but for anyone who purchases while we are at this mini summit today, we are going to vet your VA for you. Okay, for you specifically. We did this one time several years ago, and it is something that I charge between $3,000 and $5,000 to do. Okay. So what this means is that you're going to fill out a form and tell us what you need in a virtual assistant. My expert team, we're going to find the person for you. We are then going to say to you, okay, Carol, here's your virtual assistant that we found for you. Now, the fine print on this offer, and this worked out really, really, really well last time, is that you still have to go through the program. Okay. We still want you to do the program because there's so much more to this than just that part, right? That's a small piece of it. We still want you to have your systems in place. We still want you to develop that great relationship with your virtual assistant. So you do need to watch the program, and you need to have at least one person that you have found through our program ready for a trial week. Okay. Because that's where you end up through your search. Is that next step is a trial week. Once you have that person, you message us and we say, okay, we're going to add the person that we found for you into that trial week, because now you're going to know how to do it whenever you need to do it. But that is a pretty big deal. People had begged us to do this because they got word of it the first time that we did. And we were like, no, that is very labor intensive. We're not going to do it. But as you heard, we now have 2 extra full-time VAs. So I feel like we have the bandwidth for this. So that's why I was able to sort of do this on the fly. And for full pay only, we're going to send a hard copy Front Row CEO content planner to your front door. If you're in Australia, you're going to get it. If you're in Kenya, you're going to get it. Wherever you are in the world, you're going to get it. And it is really beautiful. The pages are buttery soft. I'm very proud of this. It's not like just a bunch of blank pages or all the pages are the same. It literally is an exact system. And in fact, if you want to take a peek inside, you could go to frontrowceo.com/planner. And there's a video and there's a place where you can flip through all the pages. And of course, you've got that digital system that goes with it as well. So I'm not going to go into all of the testimonials, but I want you to know, I want you to know that, that we have hundreds of these now, and they come unsolicited and they're all over social media. And we get emails of people telling us that this program has changed their life because they can now breathe again, and they can go on vacation and not take their laptop, and they're seeing their kids again. And you can read all of those testimonials on our case studies page. I think that's frontrowceo.com/case studies, I think. Now I'm going to go in and look at questions. And let's see here. When giving assignments, oh, you already did that one. Catherine says she uses Voxer to communicate with her VAs, and she is a graduate of the program. And if you want to come up here, if you want to come up on stage for a minute, Catherine, we'd love to have you if you want to share. But let me get through these questions real quick. Tina, you private messaged me. I don't know if you meant to do that privately or publicly, but I can just tell you the short answer to your question is yes. And Ann said, where are these? Yeah, so Nika answered that question. So the question is, where are these VAs coming from? So I focus on the Philippines in this program, but the truth of the matter is, this system will work if you hire a VA anywhere. Okay. It will work if you hire a VA anywhere in the world. Helen says, can you share the salary package for admin or social VA so I can budget? Okay. So we can certainly talk about this. Nika, will you private message me, DM me the graphic of, the graphic that shows like how far your dollars go? And I think there's thank you. Okay. So budgeting, let's talk about that. So you will have VAs who are going to tell you you're going to ask them how much they want to be paid. And they're going to tell you, you might see people put something as low as like $3 an hour. I have seen $2.50 an hour. We are not about that. Okay. That is not a living wage. Although the dollar does go way farther over there. And so you are leveraging the exchange rate. Okay. So we definitely are taking advantage of that exchange rate. And so you will probably start someone around five US an hour. Okay. And we always recommend trying to guarantee at least 20 hours a week. Your best bet is to get as close to 40 hours a week as you can. And the reason why is because VAs are freelancers, right? They have to make money just like you do. And so if you show up and you're just flaky and like you get 6 hours one week and 10 hours the next, how can they count on that? They can't feed their family, or they can't feel confident that they can pay their bills and feed their family because they don't know, they can't budget, right? And so they have to go out and find other clients. And if they're going out and finding other clients, that means they're not fully focused on your business. So this culture that we're trying to create, this relationship and partnership that we want you to have, is just going to have a hard time gaining ground, taking root, if if they can't trust that there's going to be a certain amount of hours guaranteed. And then the idea is that you start at this low rate of $5 US, and then we show you how to do this and like when to do this, right? So they'll have a 90-day review. And at that 90-day review, if things are going really well and you really like love this person, you're just like, wow, this is the perfect person for my business, then, you're going to want to go up a little bit. And then if you are deliberate, and again, we show you how to do this, if you are deliberate about the time that you are now saving, right? So you've passed off all of this admin stuff to your VA. Now you have time free. Are you going to make sales calls with that time? Right? I hope so. Are you going to write that sales webinar that you've been talking about for forever? Are you going to finish the book? Are you going to write the TED Talk? Are you going to make are you going to do the networking you said you were going to do? So when you start doing that stuff, if you're really deliberate about that, you will see a dramatic increase in your revenue. It's just inevitable because you're doing more things that create revenue, right? I got to turn off this cameraman thing in a minute. As soon as I stop talking, I'm going to do that. So you start making money and you are growing, your VA is going to grow along with you. So you make money, you bump them up. You make money, you bump them up. And all along the way, we show you how to give bonuses, sometimes even profit sharing, right? So you do well on a launch or a campaign or whatever, something that has like a monetary goal attached to it. And then you say, if we reach this number, then you're going to get a piece of that. So it's true ownership in your company. So short answer, you can budget at $5 an hour for a little while, right? Like it's not going to stay at that level. And then I just want to show you this graphic that was done very recently and is accurate by my team. Okay, so you can get an idea of how far the dollar goes in the Philippines. So basically, this says $4.50 an hour. We're going to round up to $5 an hour and say, but even at $4.50, okay, at that number, this is how it breaks out. So that's going to be about 40,000 pesos a month. And that's going to pay for rent, electricity, the water bill, food, a 25 kilogram sack of rice, toiletries and other grocery items, internet subscription, statutory remittance, which is like health benefits and retirement, private high school fees, and income tax, with a teeny weeny bit left over for savings. So over here on the piggy bank, you see the 2,300 on savings. So this shows you that like the dollar really goes so much farther. And that's why this can work so beautifully, because a lot of small business people and solopreneurs can't afford $25 to $50 to $100 an hour. It's just cost prohibitive. But here's something I will say. If you're feeling badly about, because I've heard people push back with this before and be like, well, I just feel like it's fundamentally wrong to give away jobs that should be local. Okay, I hear you, but think about this. I know this is true in my case. If I would have never hired a virtual assistant, I could not sustain, I just wouldn't be in business, because I just had those peaks and valleys, launch and then no launch, and then nothing, no income, and then launch, and then nothing, and then new client, and then nothing. And there's no way that I would be able to still be in business 10 years later. I would be, I just wouldn't be. And so now I have plenty of contractors and people that I work with locally. I am in an office building right now where I pay rent. I have a videographer who does my promotional videos locally. I have a brand photographer who does my brand shoots. She is local. I have a local printer. You get where I'm going with this. So, and my tax dollars. So how much am I giving back to my local community if I go out of business? And it's not like it's apples to apples. It's not like I could have hired a VA down the street at 40 hours a week, but I needed those 40 hours a week to get liftoff. Once I got the 40 hours a week, it was like, move all that over to the left. And man, was I cooking, because I created my podcast. I got really big names on my podcast because I could devote an entire day to go after Gary Vaynerchuk and Seth Godin. I was able to write down I was able to create a webinar that really was a good webinar to sell people into the courses that I was creating at the time, right? Going from a $5,000 sales of one of my courses to 50, 60, and $100,000, just because I had hours strung together uninterrupted to be able to focus. So that's why I'm always jumping up and down about this. That's why, because I actually didn't go into business to talk about how to hire VAs. I went into business to teach people digital marketing and business strategies. But this was sort of an outlier, but everybody saw how fast I was growing, and they were reaching out to me like, what in the heck are you doing? Like, are you on, what are you doing? Because we see what is going on here. And it's like kind of incredible how you blew up in just a short amount of time. And I was like, well, I've got this VA. Well, how did you hire her? What did you do? What about the language barrier? What about the cost? And I was like, so I put together like a little free training. It ended up being like the most popular thing I ever did. So I just, read the tea leaves and said, okay, I better do a program about this. What do you sell for $50,000 and $100,000? Online programs. So I had a program called Social Media Summer Camp that showed businesses how to use social media. This program is, as you see, $2,000. So I don't have one thing that is $50,000. I have coaching programs that are in the tens of thousands of dollars. But the point is, like, whatever the price tag is, you now have the ability to actually grow the revenue, because your hands aren't tied up with zhuzhing your web page and connecting your lead pages to your webinar jam. Okay, and what are the qualifications that these VAs have? I definitely want to answer this question, and you're asking some great questions. Qualifications. Well, by the time you get to the interview process, using the system where I show you how to screen people out, the people who end up in your interviews have bachelor's degrees at minimum. In many cases, they have advanced degrees. We've got someone now who's working with an industrial engineer. We've had scientists. We've had a lot of people with medical backgrounds, like we had a pharmacist come through not long ago. So highly qualified people. And the other thing is, in the Philippines, and I lived there for 3 years. I love the Philippines so much. I love everything about it. I love the culture. I love the people. And education is very highly valued. So people are educated in English, although it's a second language. It's kind of sort of a first language, because people learn it from kindergarten all the way up. And if anything, like if we run into language issues, it might be that my team is writing something and they're more formal than we are, right? Because their grammar is actually better in many instances than mine is. And one thing that comes to mind, Anika, I don't even think we have ever even talked about this, but like someone might say, to avail this offer, right? That I think that sounds so beautiful, to avail this offer, but we do not say that. That is like really formal, right? So if anything, it's just more of a style thing. So that, but English, but as far as speaking English and having like very highly qualified people, yes. And how do you select the VAs? What are the minimum qualifications that they are selected to have? Are they various skill levels, education, experience? So we teach you how to select the VAs based on what your criteria is. So that screening process that Miriam was talking about, there's this whole set of templates that we give you and forms that you're going to use that sort of get populated by their responses to forms. Okay. And based on the things that you've said, so like the Salima earlier was talking about how the time zone thing for her works great because her VA is not working when she's working, but she's getting work done while Salima sleeps. But some people want their VAs to work at the same time, at the same time zone. And many people in the Philippines are used to doing that, of working the what we call graveyard shift. And so it's really not a crazy thing to ask. So many people prefer it even. And so at that initial screening process, that might be something that is imperative. Like you must have them work 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So on those preliminary forms, if they choose from a drop-down menu that they are not okay with those hours, that whole line automatically turns red on the spreadsheet. So they're out, so they're disqualified. So that's just one example. So you're going to set what the criteria is. And for us selecting the VA for you as part of this bonus, this crazy bonus that I just offered, same, we're gonna look for the qualifications that you tell us that you're looking for. Let's see here. Welcome Diane, welcome to the program. I'm going to have to go now. Bye, Ellie. Where shall I pick up the recording for this morning? Nika, did you answer that question?
Yeah, we're going to send you an email with the recording.
Okay. Yeah, we are going to send you an email with the recording. Another thing to look out for is Nika and I have actually not even established the time yet, but tomorrow morning, it's going to be just Nika and I, and we are going to pull back the curtain and we're going to talk about all the things that Nika does in our business. And you can ask her questions, anything that you're curious about. And we're just going to break it all down. And so I don't think you want to miss that. Let's see here. I am looking, I think I'm caught up on the questions here. So I'm nervous. Diane says, I'm nervous and excited at the same time. Well, you know what? If you weren't nervous, I would be worried about you. It's a humongous step. It's one of the biggest steps, if not the biggest step you'll ever make in your business. And so, but all the best things we've ever done in our life, we started out a little scared and nervous. And so I'm excited for you. Have you had any realtors? Oh, we have. And in fact, do we have any realtors coming today, Nika, on our summit?
None for now, but I think we've got someone in our case study page. I'm going to put the link.
Yes. And you know what? I did not put it together, but I've been making notes because I've got a whole treasure trove of tasks that I'm going to make I'll make a lead magnet out of it or something. But Nika, remind me because I've been meaning to do that because there are so many cool things that a VA can help a realtor with. And so I want to do this sheet of tasks unique to realtors. God, I can't talk. I'm going to make this list for you and I'm going to send it to you. Travel advisors. Yes. And we do have a travel advisor coming today, right, Nika?
Yes,
Yeah.
2 p.m. So Elise and Karina, we've got someone in the travel industry coming today. So if you could check that out.
Yeah, if you can't stick around, you'll see it on the replay, and we're going to put timestamps on this replay so that you'll be able to just go directly to the industry that you want to see. Is this driving you crazy? Because it's driving me crazy. If I was cooking, do you know what I mean? This would be great because I would say, here's the pudding. And then I would back up and you would see me putting something in the oven. But no, it's making me dizzy. And what this is I have a camera. It's called Lumina or something. And there's this setting, which I thought would be cool. And it's just so not called Cameraman. So let's see if I can fix that real quick. Everybody, this is a good time to run to the loo. Advanced. I don't see it. Yeah, I'm sorry. You're just going to have to deal with me moving around. I'll try to stay still. There. We'll just try to stay still. Let's see. Oh, and this is actually a live and not a fake live. Well, we're going to do some fake lives too. Don't worry. This is going to be a fake live, probably because we want to hit other time zones. So we will probably, schedule this to replay on social media, like at 2:00 in the morning or something, so the folks in Australia and stuff can see it. So, all right. Anybody else have a question? Is Shar here yet? Let me see. Our next guest is Shar Glatley. And let me text her real quick and just make sure. I mean, it's still early. She's not supposed to be here till 12:30. Shar. Okay. I am awful at firing, and you can help with that. Well, hopefully you are not going to have to fire someone, but absolutely. I have the words for you to say. We've got an email for you to, the letter that you send, when you should do it. And, spoiler alert, sooner rather than later. And I think a lot of people have told me that that's something that they find very valuable in the program, is exactly like having us hold your hand in a situation like that, and to validate your gut feeling that this person is not the right person. Because doesn't it always start like that, right? Like you look back and you're like, well, I should have let them go, that first time that I knew they were, not telling me 100% the truth, but you gave them the benefit of the doubt. But it was always your gut. And then we're there to validate that, because normally I'm actually quick to fire. I actually have no problem with that. As soon as you know that this person is not the person, then it's time to let them go. Now, that doesn't mean that mistakes aren't okay. I'm not a monster, but I just think that people tend to give more grace than is necessary. Grace isn't the right word. It's all, you can't give too much grace. You know what I mean? Too much. They extend it out too long, and it's a waste of it's beyond money. It's a waste of time, and it's a waste of just energy. Who do you pay? How do you transfer the money? Great question, Ann. So, you pay the VA directly. And that is the beauty of this method versus going through an agency where you don't know how much the VA is getting, right? You pay the VA directly, and we show you all the different options that are available, but they're all super simple. I use PayPal, but there's also Wise, which used to be called TransferWise. There's also Freedom Pay or Payoneer. Is that the other one, Nika? Payoneer.
Yeah,
And they're all just super easy. They're as easy as Venmo. If you've used Venmo, it's just that easy. And did you know that a VA can actually take phone calls for you as well? They can, you can have a Google Voice number. There's lots of different tools out there. But again, you've spoken to people in the Philippines. You probably spoke to someone today in the Philippines if you had a customer service issue. And they're completely, you're talking to someone and English is perfect. You have a positive experience. Well, the same thing could be